Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Happy Halloween, Michael.
So Michael Myers has another story, and I think the guy who wrote it's number 2 must have been jammed on his keyboard, because this one's also called Halloween.
Michael Myers loose with a bunch of nutbags in Haddonfield on Halloween night? We're gonna have a fucking circus on our hands.
Well, since he was really slow and didn't know how to hide very well, Michael got arrested and sent back to the nut house.
He came home.
It's 40 years later, and these reporters are at the loony bin trying to interview Michael, even though he doesn't talk.
Spent the last 40 years in captivity, and by all accounts has not uttered a word.
They also suck at their jobs because they can't research for crap. Apparently, because he got loose for 3 days, the previous 15 years he spent there don't count.
He hasn't spoken a word in 15 years.
This dude's been studying his case for years, and literally screws up that fact when there have been absolutely no new developments in that time.
There's nothing to learn.
I bet he will look really scary on their show.
Well, it would, but they're podcasters, which means that they're only getting the audio of how he reacts to his William Shatner mask.
We're investigative journalists.
He pulls it out, and all the patients go crazy. Well, more than they already are. But they get no reaction out of him. So now they're going to track down Laurie. Well, she lives in a mini fort in the woods because she's afraid Michael will come back.
Anybody ever tell you you're a little paranoid?
Not to my face. Why? Did you hear something?
But she's still right outside of the town that she almost got murdered in. They bribe her to talk to them, and then they tell her that he's being transferred, and that today would be the last opportunity she would have to try to get him to talk, while they record it, so they can make money. Maybe they should have asked her to do this before they asked her what it was like being a bad mother.
Totally.
We then meet Laurie's family. Her granddaughter Allison just made the National Honor Society, and her parents Karen and Ray are acting like this is a huge deal.
That is a very big deal.
It is not.
It's not a big deal.
They're supposed to meet her boyfriend Cameron tonight too, but because of his family, they already think he's a turd.
That whole family, though, had a reputation.
They automatically assume he's a turd because his dad was a turd.
Lonnie Eames said never to go up there. Lonnie Eames said that's a haunted house.
Lonnie Lamb probably won't get out of the 6th grade.
Go ahead, Lonnie.
Hey, Lonnie, get your ass away from there.
Remember the one time Lonnie punched that cop in the face?
Ray.
Since it's right before Halloween, Allison's friends want to know about Laurie and are very empathetic to her being a shut-in.
All things considered, there's a lot worse stuff that's happening today.
When she goes to class, she looks outside the window to see her grandma, just standing there, being kind of creepy.
Really creepy.
Not sure how she knew what classroom she was in. She goes out to talk to her and tells her that she needs to say goodbye to Michael too.
Get over it.
So she goes to do just that, but instead of going to talk to him, she plans on murdering him during the transfer.
I'll kill him myself.
But you have to wonder why they would stupidly transfer the man who has killed people on Halloween on 2 separate occasions the night before Halloween.
This is totally silly.
Laurie shows up to the turd meeting dinner with whiskey breath and causes a scene.
Do you think that could be me one day?
No, if it got that bad, I'd shoot you and put you out of your misery.
Her mom tells Allison that she's happy Laurie went cuckoo because now she knows what kind of crap she had to put up with as a kid, because watching your grandma cry in public is exactly like learning how to fight and shoot.
And you clean their guns, and you got children, and you clean guns, and you like to get high with them, and then y'all get fat.
Outside of town, we see a guy and his son going hunting in the middle of the night, but run into the bus from Smith's Grove, and all the patients are grazing like cattle.
Just found 3 of them holding hands chasing butterflies at a flea market off the 220.
They both get out of the truck, but at least the kid is smart enough to bring the gun, which he uses to shoot the doctor.
I'm missing dance class for this.
He then goes back to the truck and dies.
The world is not a dark and evil place. It is full of love and understanding.
This officer, Frank Hawkins, shows up and finds the dead dad and the doctor. At the hospital, Frank tells a cowboy that Michael escaped and they need to find him. The next day, on Halloween, the podcasters go to Judith Meyer's grave, where Michael also happens to be. We can only assume he was going to steal this tombstone again, but then he bumped into the people who have his mask, so he spies on them. The cemetery caretaker doesn't seem to know the story, so they tell her how Judith died, even though it looks like she doesn't give a shit.
As she sat combing her hair, unaware, her 6-year-old brother crept in quietly with a kitchen knife.
He then proceeded to slice the base of her skull.
God, it sounds like a fairy tale or something.
So the podcasters pull over at a gas station because the lady needs to take a shit.
I need to go to number 2 almost immediately.
And while she's in there, she gets nervous because she hears somebody rejecting the same stalls that she was disgusted by. But then somebody throws some teeth over the door, and she gets scared because she's not a dentist.
You scared
me!
The guy goes to pay and sees that the people that work there are dead and in their underwear.
Oh, Holly, you borrowed my panties again.
He rushes into the bathroom and helps Michael open the stall door.
You don't believe in the boogeyman?
The boogeyman? No.
Well, you should.
Michael then kills her and gets his Captain Kirk mask back. I guess he's nostalgic.
He is so sexy, it's a little too much to take.
Laurie hears that Michael escaped, so she looks down the basement stairs and then breaks into her daughter's house to give her a gun. But she doesn't want it and kicks her out, not caring that the man who tried to murder her has gotten loose.
You need help and you are not welcome in this house until you get it.
That night, Michael casually steals a hammer and kills some random chick for practice. But she does loot drop a knife, so then he goes to kill the neighbor because she was there.
Subtle, isn't he?
There's a school dance where Allison answers her phone just so we can see what Vicky's up to.
You're dead.
Well, she's definitely gonna die.
Shut up, you don't know that. She could just be bored babysitting.
He kills babysitters. She's babysitting. She's gonna die.
Hey, he just killed a bunch of randos that weren't babysitting, so maybe he's got a new thing.
Sometimes I can't tell the difference between your stupidity and your ignorance.
So the dance is lame. The cheerleaders are dressed as cheerleaders with ears, and Allison's boyfriend is kissing another girl.
Cameron is a good guy.
Since she's upset about this, he throws her phone into some pudding. You know, that staple of every high school dance. So now Laurie can't call her to warn her, and she just gives up on owning a phone and leaves. Back with Vicky, Dave shows up in a costume, but somehow still wearing a better hat than we saw him last time.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, shut up, Dave.
And scares her. But for some reason, she's not scared by the tattoo he got for her.
I'll fight him off. Come on. I promise.
The kid she's watching says the boogeyman's in the house and offers up Dave as sacrifice.
Send Dave first!
She checks the room, but not the closet, like an idiot.
I checked the whole place.
But when he asks her to shut the closet, she can't shut the door because of the giant knife-wielding psycho and ends up dying because she's wearing socks.
I mean, what, a couple people getting killed by one guy with a knife is not that big of a deal.
Michael covers her up like a ghost, and Frank finds her. And then Laurie shows up and shoots a mirror, so now Frank knows that Michael's in the house.
The old Girl Scout comes through again.
He stops his pursuit to check on Dave and sees that he has an expiration date tattoo. After Laurie shoots Michael, Frank's like, "Oh, that's right. I was chasing a murderer who was fleeing slowly on foot."
Thanks for the run, if that's what you want to call running.
The cowboy shows up with the doctor, and Frank thinks it's a bad idea to have him there.
You want me to take this injured civilian to go look for a psychopathic serial killer?
But the cowboy says he knows Michael, a man who hasn't spoken since he was 6, better than anyone. And then the doctor admits that he wants to know more about Michael and his motivations.
Dr. Loomis was the only one to see him in the wild.
When the cops pull up to Allison's house, we see that her mom is one of those punk bitches that start decorating for Christmas as soon as they can.
If I were you guys, I wouldn't celebrate either. I would just put up a Christmas tree instead. Just skip all over the creepy Halloween shit, right?
And she's now willing to listen to Laurie now that she has the boys in blue behind her paranoia. They try to call Allison again, but her phone is still in the party tapioca.
You gonna get that? Or you want me to get it?
Allison's friend Oscar tells her not to worry about Cameron, because he's a good guy. But he also says that she deserves better in the same conversation. He then assumes that he's something better and makes a move on his best friend's girl. She doesn't take it well.
I'm going home. You can figure your own shit out.
Oscar then gets dead, but not before he screams in a way that would keep Allison from ever dating him.
Somebody please help me! Please somebody help me!
But she does double back and sees him skewered on a fence.
It's your own fault, and I don't feel a bit sorry for you.
And when Allison runs for help, she bumps into better hospitality than Laurie did.
Can't you hear me? Oh, God!
And then Frank and Sartain pick her up to take her to Laurie's. On the way, they just happen to bump into Michael. The doctor goes to check on Michael, but ends up stabbing Frank.
Underestimate no one.
He then puts on Michael's mask and puts Michael in the back seat with Allison.
The compassion's overwhelming, Doctor.
He wants to take him to Laurie so he can watch how he'll react around her. He then runs over Frank, just to make sure he's dead.
Oh, man.
Allison lies to the doctor and says that Michael spoke to her. And when Sartain mentions Judith, Michael wakes up and starts kicking his seat like a toddler.
Leave me alone!
I mean, did he really think that he was just going to attack Allison and not him?
I want to know what pleasure he gets out of killing.
While Allison runs into the woods, Michael steps on the doc's head.
So, this is what it feels like.
Some cops show up to see what the commotion down the street is, but they get used as a distraction to get Ray to open the door.
You're like a PB&J everyday kind of guy.
I got peanut butter on my penis.
That sounds disgusting. I'm not gonna try that.
Hey, you fellas okay?
What the hell happened to you, Hoss?
And then Michael sneaks up on Ray and strangles him.
I can take care of my own family, all right?
Laurie tells Karen to go to the basement while she handles Michael. He knocks on the door, but Laurie won't let him in.
I will murder you and your whole family.
Are you fooling around again? I'll kill you if this is a joke.
When Laurie goes to check on Karen, Michael finds another way in. Laurie then shoots the floor, giving away their position in the basement. But Laurie goes back up to try to lock him in a bedroom because she has these animal cages on all the doors.
From a clinical perspective, Doctor, would you say that Laurie Strode has lost her fucking marbles?
She finally spots a trail of blood leading upstairs to her creepy doll room. And instead of locking the door from the outside, she locks herself in with the murderer. Turns out that the blood trail just leads to Ray.
I gotta clean this peanut butter off my hand.
And he just stuffed him on a shelf in a closet so he could sneak up on her from behind a mannequin and throw her off a balcony.
It's really not your style, Rogers. It's hers.
Allison also stumbles across Laurie's outdoor mannequin collection.
This is the dumbest shortcut ever.
And she must have a phobia or something because she screams really loud for someone with a killer out there. She then bypasses 2 dead cops in a car with the lights on and ignores all the broken glass in the doorway just to casually walk into her grandma's house.
I'm glad you got to see that.
She then yells several times, even after seeing blood. This distracts Michael, and when he looks back, Laurie's gone like a fart in the wind.
Could have been a skunk.
Karen comes up to get Allison, but when Michael comes downstairs to check on the noise, he must have remembered being shot from below because he just beelines for the kitchen island. Karen grabs a gun to protect her daughter, but then says she can't shoot the man that murdered her husband and attacked her child.
I'm sorry, I can't do it!
But she pulled a sneaky, and it was just part of a plan to get him down to the basement.
So my mom's a liar.
But he wants to fight back and grabs Karen. Allison also has to stab him to let her mom go, and then they lock him in.
It's a trap.
It's a trap!
They then set the whole house on fire just to make sure he's dead.
That ought to kill him.
But he just stands there like, this is fine.
Break me down with all of your hatred, and your journey towards the dark side will be complete.
They then hitchhike out of there, not caring that the cops and the firefighters are going to want reports on what happened, and most importantly, making sure that Michael's dead.
Oh yeah? We'll see about that.
Hey, is it alright if I subscribe to this channel?
Yeah, right. Yeah. Are you serious? Say goodbye to Michael.
Goodbye, Michael.